Lakers, this video is to help you get started with Tinkercad. So at this point, you should have gotten a link from your teacher, and your teacher would have helped you create an account. And you should be open to your own sort of like homepage. So on this side, you're going to see like designs. So if you have designed anything, you can go back and edit them here. But we are going to create a new one. So I'm going to click on Create 3D Design. And so this kind of platform right here is to kind of emulate the space that you would have with a 3D printer. Now you don't have to print everything out on a 3D printer. You could just simply send like your designs to your teacher if that's what they want of you. But this will kind of help give you an idea of how much space you have to work with. Now down here you have something called a snap grid, and that depends on if you have a shape out here on the platform, how much do you want it to move. And so if you want to be able to move things like completely at will, you would want to turn it off. If you want it to move just like a square over, then I would keep it at 1 millimeter, but it all kind of depends on what you're doing. The other thing on this side, you'll have some tools here. This changes the view that you have. So this would be like looking at it straight on. This is kind of at an angle. This would be towards the right side, and then you can keep going until you have the view that you want. You're probably going to be moving around the view a lot while you're working on it. This home button though, so let's say I was over here and I click on this, it will automatically bring you to like the very first viewpoint that you had when you started this. So if I have a shape right here that I want to drag out onto here, and I want to just focus in on this shape and not have the entire platform, I can select this shape and then I can click on this button right here, and it will kind of bring me in as close as possible to view it. And then I would have to like scroll out and scroll in. Since you guys have your laptops, it's a little bit hard to do this because you have a trackpad and not a mouse, so you might have to be going like towards your home or using this button more often than you would otherwise. If you don't like the shape that you've put in here, you can just hit delete on your keyboard, and then that would make it go away. I'm going to bring this shape back out here. I find it easier to start adjusting a shape using these tools first before I end up like moving it with these buttons here. So you can use the squares to kind of move at will. You can also use these lines here as well. So I could change this to 25 and it would bring it in. So you will want to kind of play around with these different lines and using it over here. Now, your shapes either come as a solid or they come as a whole. And what that means is that if you have a solid right here and you want to cut out a shape inside your solid, you would need to bring out a hole. And a hole could be anything. It doesn't have to be these two right here. I could actually like pull out a circle if I wanted to, or this cylinder. So I'm going to bring out my cylinder on top. I'm going to make sure they're aligned, so I'm going to select all of them, and then I am going to click on this align tool, and I can use this to kind of make it right in the middle right here. And let's say I want to kind of push this cylinder back into it, I can push this down, and so it's not making my cylinder actually smaller, it's just moving it inside. It's like layering inside the box that I have. So I want to cut out this hole inside of my square. I'm going to change this to a hole. And then I'm going to select these again, and then I'm going to hit this button that says combine. And what it will do is it will kind of generate on its back servers, and then you can see that I have this shape now that I didn't have before. If I did this by accident and I don't want it, I can hit Command Z until everything goes back to the way it was before. Something that you're also going to find that's really helpful is it can be hard to place objects on each other directly, especially because sometimes you might have like your shape go all the way up here and now it's kind of like floating in the sky, and you don't really know until you change your viewpoint. So that can be really stressful when you're creating. So let's say I want to bring this cylinder back onto my design board right here. I'm going to click on it and just hit D, and now when I look at it on the side, I know that it's actually on the design board right there. Now let's say I want to put this cylinder back on top of here, and if I just keep moving it over here, it's going to kind of like go inside my square. It's not going to go on top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a work plane tool and I'm going to drag it and I'm going to put it right on top of my square. And so what I can do is I can now move this on top of here. But the one thing you want to do is make sure that like you cut out your cylinder first. So I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to, with a Command X, and then I am going to paste it. And so now I know that it's on top because I added that work plane. And if you go onto my viewpoint, you can see it right here. Now you notice that I have two work planes now. It can be really annoying to have both of them together at the same time. So if I want to get rid of that work plane, I'm going to just have to click this work plane tool again and then just click outside. There's a lot of different shapes in here, and the options are endless. You can also look at some things that are already kind of like created for you. So if you're making like a car, there's already like preloaded wheels. Shape generators are also really interesting to play around with. They do take a little bit more time to load. So if you see all of these like plain boxes at first, don't get stressed out. They'll load in a little bit. When it comes time to share your design with your teacher, what you can do is you can hit send to, and then you can say invite people, and you would generate a link. And so this is a link that you could upload to Schoology, or you could email to your teacher. Just make sure that you change the name. There's like a random name that will happen if you don't select anything, but if I just say like tutorial, then that is what will fill in up here. Another thing is if you are looking to import STL files from other sources like Thingiverse, you would need to import it from somewhere else. If you're looking to export so that you can 3D print, you would hit the export button, and then you would select an STL file for our 3D printer that we have in the library, and then it would go into your downloads folder, and that's what you would put into our MakerBot app. If you have any questions, feel free to come by to the library. This is just a really quick start guide. There's a lot of things that you can do with this. And happy creating.